This is quiz 3, question 6. We have a company that we want to value using the dividend discount model. We have earnings per share in year 0, we have some retention rates and investments, and then we have some assumptions about from years 10 onwards. We need to figure out what the present value of the company is. Okay, so let's do earnings per share here. So we're in year 0. I think we need to go out to, need to go out to year 10. That's one too far. Let me delete this column. Okay. And our earnings per share are $7.97, and we are going to retain 60% in the firm. The percent retained is 60, and let me just show you that. So that means that in year 1 we have dividends to pay out of, or year 0, I'm sorry, $3.19. So what we did was we had dividends, we had earnings per share of almost $8. We kept 60% in the firm, and then we had dividends to pay out. Okay, so it grows at 60% from year 0 to year 5. The return on that is going to be 12%. Starting in year 6, we are going to reinvest only 20%, and we're going to make an 11% return. Okay, so what happens is our earnings per share next year are going to be the earnings per share from the prior year plus that times whatever return we get. So earnings per share will be $8.54 next year. We are going to retain 60% of those, and the dividends that we will have left to pay out will be the difference. I'm going to add a line here, and I'm going to copy and paste it all the way across. Let me make sure this should be 20%. Okay, let's make sure we did all that right. Yeah. The rate of return is 10%. What's the per value share? Okay, so if R is 10%, the present value of each of these cash flows, I'm assuming that we're not going to include the value in year 0 because that's probably the time that just came past. So I'm going to start here. Lock that, raise that to the power of 1. The other thing that we need to do that I just forgot to do is to do the terminal value. From year 10 on, Bloom will distribute all earnings as dividends. So let me go back here. This should actually be 0. And they don't have information about the terminal value of the company. So I'm going to assume that this is a non-growing perpetuity, and I'm going to say that the value of the firm starting in this year is that. So that means that we don't need to include this in our calculation, but what we do need to do is add in the terminal value. So let me make sure that I've explained this correctly. In year 10, we've kind of reached like a terminal state here. And therefore, this cash flow won't grow because they're not getting any reinvestment benefit from it. And so therefore, this is a non-growing perpetuity using the discount rate. And because the value of it starts here, the present value of that is in year 9. So what we did was we added these two up and discounted them back, and we did the same for the rest of these. And so the value of this company should be $90.36, and that is the solution that we have here. I think the biggest assumption that you need to make here is the rate of growth of this $7.97. So here, the only thing that changed earnings per share was the prior year's cash flow plus some reinvestment income from what they kept in the firm last year. So that's one way to kind of consider. It's not explicitly stated in the question, but it's probably the easiest way to consider the growth of the company. The other thing to remember is that they pay out what's left over in dividends, and once you do that and you get to the terminal year, all this is an NPV project.